welcome to the Salty Bulldog, the podcast that can still hear the western suburbs erupting after Tom Boyd's legendary goal in 2016. I'm Matthew Donald, and I have Nick Galea sitting opposite me. Welcome, Nick.
Hello, Matt. How are you?
I'm well, and sitting next to him is Brad Sultana. Welcome back, Bradley.
Oh, it's good to be back. Thank you for having me.
Hello, Brad.
Hello, Nick.
Very good, sir.
Now, we're going to start this one a bit differently. I'm normally the one that gets the ball rolling, and I've done the introduction. Nick, this is actually a Salty Bulldog first. We're going to let you get the ball rolling this time, because I know you would like to talk first today, so we're just going to open the floor and let you have at it.
It's an absolute honour, first of all, for this part, because it does, for many reasons, certain players you get attached to, or you really enjoy and you hope the very, very best for them. And in this case, one such was Tom Boyd for myself. And over the past few years, I've probably never been as happy, or I'd say connected to a player that, with their performances on field, and as you mentioned to me last week, you felt the pressure with every kick, with whatever he did, on field, off field, and such. I was going to Essendon Hyundai last week to pick up my car from a service, and on the drive back, about a couple of minutes out from there, I heard the news on the radio, and my first few words were quite select, and the horn just started beeping for a good 10-20 seconds on the road, and everyone's wondering what in God's name is this lunatic doing. But no, it was news of his retirement that cut me quite deep. And when he made the decision to call the Western Bulldogs his home on October 15th, 2014, it was just a wonderful, momentous occasion for myself then, and for many fans, of course, but I was absolutely in ecstasy. For me it was just brilliant, especially after the events of the week pending, where and throughout that whole season, where it just seemed like such a strain to follow or to do anything to resonate with the club. And that, though, for that part of his deal, it provided me with hope that we were back on track, that we actually were able to, first of all, land someone of note, to convince someone to come to us, to see us as a club they wanted to go to. Yes, the money helps, and anyone that talks about the money, you've got to be an idiot to say, he chose to undertake that. You're telling me at the age of 19 you're not doing the exact same thing, So the money, in my opinion, I've never cared about that at all, because the price of what happened and the price of what led up to those events were entirely worth it to give a big, again, select few words to certain other clubs and certain individuals in the media, and just in general certain supporters around the country, to constantly mention that we're irrelevant, that we're going nowhere, that we're set for another 5-10 year hiatus at the bottom of the ladder. And the idea of him coming across to us, as it gave me that hope that's just followed on for the next few years. And I thought that, people again go back to the contract, I thought his seasons in 2015 and 16, forgetting the finals, were still at a good standard. You can't expect a 19-year-old, a 20-year-old, and an eventual 21-year-old to sweep the game off your entire feet. It's just completely unreasonable. People tend to think because we've got certain players like the Bont and McRae, and at the time Jake, who were performing like A-graders, it's the exception to the rule where you have such a junior or such juniors hit the ground running like that and not allow them the time to grow and to develop as a footballer, as a person, and all these things. So the joy that was given to me following his career, and by God I hope he comes back in one way or another, I am eternally grateful, not only for the back half of 16, but for the entire journey and the ride that went along with it. It was extraordinary. It might have been short, but it sure as hell was quite bloody sweet. So thank you, Tom Boyd. You are forever a Western Bulldogs champion and legend. look forward to meeting you at the Charles Sutton Medal.
And that's unscripted. There's
Once-
nothing in front of you there, so that's straight from the heart. That's
Well said, Nick.
Yeah,
Well said.
very well said.
I'm gonna bloody miss him. Seriously,
Everybody.
I'm really,
Yeah.
really going to miss him.
Yeah, no, I don't think you're alone in that respect. I felt much the same way, and as you said, with every kick he had for goal, I just felt such pressure.
I felt such pride after, once kicked. Those.
Yeah,
things,
when
it
he
just-
kicked the goal,
I just
yeah.
felt, a good old, a solid 5,000, fist pumps or whatever the heck the term is.
Yeah.
Just felt happy.
I think I said a couple of weeks ago when we were talking about Aaron Norton, nothing, gets you
Off your
out
feet.
of your chair quite like a key forward taking the mark and going back and kicking the goal. It wasn't like and Jake Stringer was sort of similar in that respect. Whenever he'd kick a goal, he'd get you off your feet.
He would.
But it wasn't like Dixon kicking a goal or Cranmery kicking a goal. This was the man
Yes, and
going back and kicking it. And and sort of when you think about it, everything that he's gone through, some of which was dealt with internally, other instances where it was just very much played out in public. It's quite amazing that he managed to stick it out for as long as he did in some respects.
Before these things, and it's strange, it never looked like at his entire time with us that he was able to play with a pure confidence due to maybe things holding him back or whatever it was. But because I can recall a video back pre-draft in 2013 where he had a goal-kicking competition against the great Peter Dykos, and I just recall watching that video on YouTube of his goal-kicking, and he looked like he had the world at his feet. The way that he portrayed himself, the way that he spoke, the way that he held himself up in such a regard that he just oozed confidence. So I don't know what happened to that then, that 18-year-old boy to now at 23, but the club's always opened doors for him, and I'm sure many others are, and many people are. So it's finally now starting to become to the fore that this matter for other players too is now becoming a huge and first and foremost priority for the AFL. And I think they're in conversations with trying to have now full-time, have an actual head of mental health departments, the equivalent of an AFL Players Association, have their own department for that. So whether that's going to be run by the club, run by the Players Association, or run by the actual AFL, that's yet to be determined. But it's been a long time coming, but at least if there is some good news out of this, is that now it'll be taken far more seriously.
Brad, you've been very quiet. Tom Boyd, what do you walk away from it all? Obviously, Nick's expressed that it's been very difficult for him. I imagine it's difficult for all Bulldog supporters. How do you take it at the moment? How did you take the news initially when you found out?
Oh God.
They got a
I
knife
would
to the
say,
heart.
I did react like Nick, but Nick would have reacted 100 times.
Oh, I was devastated.
More devastated than me. But it felt like we probably lost. I don't know how to put it into words. It's difficult. It's very, very difficult to explain. It just, I don't want to say it, but it feels like we're kind of. It's hard to explain.
It is. It's
It's a
tricky.
different retirement to the one of Picken, to the one of Redpath, Biggs, Clay Smith. It's very different.
It is, because we've lost literally our future in a way. Like, if we didn't have Aaron Norton developing as our full forward now, who knows where we would be now? Should I say we'd be in shambles? I don't know.
No, I wouldn't say shambles.
But-
No, we'd
but
probably
you're-
throw Cordy up there. No.
You're
Well,
probably
Cordy proved himself though. So
his loss is
massive.
significant. Yeah,
It is massive.
It hurts more on a mental and emotional level than a physical one. The player,
yeah.
I still back that the player would have sorted things out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think everyone, if you have the chance, watch. I think it was the Oval Office. It was on Monday. I think hopefully there's a viewing of it somewhere
There should
online
be,
or on
yeah.
their Facebook page. Mitch Wallace was on
Yeah.
and spoke a bit about it. Again, those that haven't seen the press conference of last week, seriously, to God, do that. I know people mention about Bevo's tactics and such, but we've got an absolute...
The best coach in the
We've got a
competition.
gold class.
Yeah. I
coach.
agree his tactics drive me nuts, but I love him.
Yeah.
And that Oval Office show, which is
Don't mind it.
inundated with ads.
Don't mind the show.
Every
yeah.
segment is brought to you by an ad or some sort of company. That one comes after Footy Classified. And this is... and now it's my turn to have a rant, Nick.
I've got some logic about it, but...
This is as anti-Bulldogs as it gets, this show, and the panel that represent it. Now, they were talking on Monday night about the press conference of Luke Beveridge, and they weren't talking about it in glowing. They weren't referring to, the care that he has for his players. They were looking out for one of their own in the unnamed journalist, which I think it's pretty obvious that it is the great man Damien Barrett, one of our favourites here on the Salty Bulldog. Absolutely love the man to death. And some of the comments that he made over Tom Boyd's career. In fact, a few comments that he made.
People keep mentioning about that last year's one.
Yep.
There was a lot of
there were plenty more.
Weapons in the armoury there for that.
Across 2015 and 16 on his famous, world famous, everyone knows that sliding doors comments, because all he...
Which is not even a proper sliding doors moment.
None of those moments are sliding doors moments, but he took those... he took that column on 5 occasions, I recall, the opportunity to criticise not only Tom Boyd, but Peter Gordon also. Probably, in fact, early on it was more so Peter Gordon than Tom Boyd, but then that slowly started to turn towards the player. And then, of course, there was last year where he had a little bit of an each way, in that he questioned whether Tom Boyd was really out with a back injury, and also suggested that Luke Beveridge was throwing Jordan Ruffin under the bus by playing him against Max Corner of the ruck.
Yes, who thought a ruckman would come up against a ruckman during a game? Who thought that?
Yeah. Now,
madness.
And Damien Barrett's gone on to state that he doesn't want to make a big issue out of this, and he doesn't want to make it about him. And he's gone and said that on radio on Friday, on Saturday, on television on Sunday, and then on his weekly article on Sunday night. So he's gone and said he doesn't want to make it a big issue 4 times in 3 days.
I will say, to be fair, you're going to be asked those questions.
You are.
On those platforms.
It's very easy. I would suspect it'd be very easy for him to say at the start of the Sunday Footy show, Tony Jones, you're the host. I don't want to talk about this, so don't bring it up.
Good.
I reckon it'd be very easy to say that. Just say, let's just scrap it. Let's play loose handball or something. Let's not talk about this, because I don't want to talk about it, because I don't want to make it about me. But instead, suddenly we're in this conversation where, the journalists are coming out and playing the victims. They're not the victims here. And certainly none of those journalists on Footy Classified who, incidentally, and I'm not afraid to name them, Caroline Wilson, Matthew Lloyd, Craig Hutchison, and Barrett when he was on there, all...
Yes. Strange that you leave Judd out, though.
I leave Judd out.
Yes.
I leave Judd out because he's not been...
He's copping his own blowtorch at the moment.
Yeah, but he's not been a part of this. But those 4 have been on Boyd's back from the start. From the very, very start back in 2015, they were on him very, very quickly. And the reason I reckon it is because of the club he joined.
Yes.
There is no way that if he joins Hawthorn, he cops the same criticism from those 4. And there is no way that if it's Alistair Clarkson leaping to his player's defence, or if it's Damien Hardwick leaping to his player's defence, that Caroline Wilson is going to have any issues with what Luke Beveridge said on Friday. Caroline Wilson is going to say, I think it's great to see a coach standing up for its player. But because it's a player that's become an easy target and the coach of a perceived small club, journalists see it as an opportunity and they go in for the kill. And that's really disrespectful, and I think it's disgraceful that they've been allowed to get away with that. And the moment someone calls them out on the treatment that they've been dishing Boyd for the last 4 years, they play the victim card.
Yeah, that's another thing too, because people mention what we are doing even right now is the same thing.
Yeah.
Not a hope in hell. If you're willing to serve up, a rubbish dish, you got to be willing to cop it when someone throws it back in your face, and that's exactly what we're doing right now. The player then, because they're trained to talk diplomatically, to talk in certain manners, and
they've
there
got
are
to
things that
be
they
very
can or
careful
can't
about
say.
what they say. Yeah, But,
and he's not going to be
journalists-
able to do that.
No, but and those journalists feel that they've got the right to say whatever they want about players. You talk about the AFL wanting to set up a mental,
I believe so.
health system. I think they need to look at what their own employed journalists are writing about players and look at the impact that they might be having on them. Now we could just be taking this.
This
because
isn't
the
anything
extreme.
because I'm sure you and I have mentioned, this bloke's a hack for other players.
We have. So this could
Mainly
be an
in
isolated
frustration.
incident. But, I mean, if this is being discussed, I think you've got to at least look into it and ask a few questions. Because what's to stop this from happening again? Brad shakes his head. There's nothing. I mean, I say they, I mean these particular journalists, but it could be any journalist. Now
You
have
can
this.
throw that term loosely as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's more.
Well,
opinion
they'll
over
now
fact.
feel that they can have and do have the freedom to go around and criticise any player they want and face zero accountability for it because they'll know if they do, they've got their other mates backing them up.
Which is exactly what happened with Hutchie, for instance. He's not going to badmouth his co-host on the sounding board, and when they have their segments on Croc Media, SEN. So that's going to make sense. Wilson, she's not going to offend a fellow colleague of hers.
on 3AW, isn't it? With
Yeah, I believe
Matty
so.
Lloyd.
And exactly, Matthew Lloyd too. They're not going to do that. So for us, we were on a hiding to nothing regardless. Just happened to have 4 people, and at that time 3, in a collective unit, that have very similar opinions about our club. So, and that frankly pisses me off.
Yeah.
Nick's fired up.
Yeah, and I say this, I'd say Tom Boyd would have been better off joining Hawthorn. Forget money, playing style development. He would have been better off joining Hawthorn because he would have avoided the criticism completely.
And
There's
arguably
no.
that would have given him a longer.
There
career,
is
so yeah.
there is no.
They're
way-
a well-run club.
There
for
is
one.
no. They're a well-run club, but there is no way Damien Barrett
The scrutiny.
goes toe to toe with Alistair
Alistair
Clarkson and
No.
with the Hawthorn Football Club.
Yeah.
No way it happens.
Because he knows he's going to get his ass.
Yeah.
I still don't know
So-
how the
and-
heck he worships the very ground Ross Lyon walks on. Still,
To this day.
yeah.
All right.
And not because he's not a good coach. They're all good coaches.
But yeah,
they all
what-
love their
You
players.
reckon it's because Ross Lyon hasn't stood up to him yet? I wonder if that's it.
Possibly.
because I think Beveridge worked Barrett out very quickly.
He's
I
pretty
think-
simple-minded. If
Yeah,
can't work him
I
out,
think
there's
that
something wrong with
I think Barrett may well be using the Talia situations, the smoke and mirrors, and saying, "Well, this is what started." Or I reckon Bevo worked Barrett out pretty early on, and saw what was going
Who
on.
was it?
Saw through his smoke and mirrors.
I
that's it.
yeah, I think Bevo worked out pretty quickly that Barrett was on the back of Boyd and
Yeah.
wasn't going to let up.
I think it was on the Monday nights on Talking Footy. I think it was the Herald Sun journalist Mick Warner. I hope that's the correct name.
He is a Herald Sun journalist.
It is Herald, yes, and he mentioned that he, to this day, still sides with us regarding over that Talia saga. And
Well, this is yeah.
Yeah.
We don't want to go
I
into
found
this.
that
We've
interesting
played
still,
this
yeah.
one to death.
Yes, we know about the lost mobile phone and
yeah,
such,
there was a lot of suspicious claims
yes,
made
but
from the accused.
it was a 63-day
It was a 9-week.
occupation, whatever that
Yeah.
the term is,
Yeah.
what lasted that
Investigation.
investigation. Thank you, and yeah, I find it strange to see that still after this time frame that a journalist like that sides with us. It's very rare that we have a journalist or someone
our
of
side,
notes actually side with us for a lot of things. So, and they mentioned that they weren't pleased with how the AFL handled that. So
Oh, God, that was
can
embarrassing.
you can expect though his media accreditation to be whipped off.
Yeah,
I
to be
think.
because
No,
fancy
I'm
tea.
not just saying things, but
Yeah.
you never know what goes on.
You reckon we should move on now? I think we've talked too much about
We
journalists.
have we can't make it
is our
entire
industry.
episode dedicated to journalists, but I think given the events of the past week, it needed to be addressed from the top. I needed to let a few things off my chest.
I would say
Nick
something,
needed-
but it wouldn't be allowed on air. So I
You
won't say
can
anything.
say it. You can say it. In the director's cut.
Everyone knows here that I'm probably the most
Nick will go
violent.
even worse, yes.
Yeah.
I'm a very genuine violent person, so everyone knows that I'll go through with it.
All right, so let's then go to the weekend.
Shall we
Should we
match
go to
or shall we start the next one on a higher note from last week?
We get all the crap out of the way first.
Yeah, let's bring
Alright,
it. Let's
alright,
bring it
finish
down.
on a
Let's
high
bring
then.
let's bring it down.
That brings me to me.
Let's get him. Let's get Brad to talk a little bit.
Yes, because tell us about because we'll talk about the game now. 44-point loss to Geelong. Margin probably didn't reflect the way we played for the most part of the game.
Nope.
You were there.
Yes, I
Nick
was.
and I were not.
Nope.
What did you make of the match, Bradley?
I was actually quite entertained, to be honest. Apart from those, towards the end of the second quarter and probably the last 10 minutes of the last quarter, I thought it was a thoroughly entertaining game. It's good to see that Wallace stepped up again. So it was
He
at
likes
29
the carry.
touches.
He likes playing at that ground.
Not a bad, not a bad record.
29 touches and like 2 goals or 3 goals or something.
8 coaches' votes.
8. Well, who got the 10 that day?
Duncan.
Oh, rightly so. Rightly so.
Fair enough, I'll give him
29 and 2
29 and 2.
and 9 clearances.
Duncan 25
Bloody well.
and 3. But he was great.
Duncan had I'll give him credit.
You'll
where
probably
credit's
give
due.
Wallace the 10 if we get up. It's one of those games, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty good. It's lost by 7 goals.
But the experience being there hit the category. I haven't been there in 2 years since the last game in 2017 that we played there.
Jesus.
I think that was a worse loss than what we copped last week, I think, in my opinion.
We played
Just
better last week, than we did
Yeah.
that match.
Anyway, so it's good to be around some Geelong fans again,
do you miss him?
Did you feel like home?
It does feel a lot like home since I do go on holidays a fair bit down Geelong way. But
Very pleasant to be around, aren't they?
they are.
Geelong
They're very,
supporters.
very arrogant.
Yeah,
See, I'm going to switch it on its head. I'm going to start talking
Right,
serious
so,
now.
Right, so I've had my crack. You've had yours, and
Yeah, now it's Brad's turn.
shall we call up Jason later
Yeah,
to have
yeah,
a crack
give
at the
Jason-
AFL for
give-
Ivan
give
Soldo?
Jason a call.
You'll love that.
Yes.
He was flipping livid to
I
me.
mean,
last
imagine
night.
if we got Jason here today, we'd have you going on about Boyd, me going on about journos, you going on about Geelong, and Jason going on about
The
Michael
tribunal.
Weston, yeah.
To be
We'd-
completely honest here, we can all go off at Geelong. You guys probably do it better than me because I'm not very good
Is
at
that, is
reading.
that,
I'm not
is that the
gonna say-
Quinella when you have 4?
What's that?
Is it the Quinella when you've got 4? Or is
Quinella,
that 5?
Yes.
Yeah, the Quinella. We could have had the Quinella going. We'll just have to settle for the trifecta instead.
So, night started off quite well, I didn't know where the cheer squad was sitting. I was expecting them to be in the, where they usually sit, straight behind the goals. But no, they're on the left side of the goals there.
This is the Bulldogs
Where
cheer
I
squad.
brought my tickets to be on the right hand side of the bloody cheer squad.
So you're a goal's width
suppose
away.
I thought. And then I get into a little bit of an argument here and there with a couple of Geelong supporters. There's a few of them that are good, there's a few of them that are bad. Majority of them are probably the bad ones.
living in the fishbowl that is Geelong, complaining about how unfair everything is and how nothing ever goes their way.
I'll tell you now.
It is a sense of entitlement, isn't it?
Yeah,
So
They were Hawthorne-ish.
I beep you not.
the Hawthorn of Geelong.
There's it's probably midway through the third term on Saturday night. I'll tell the truth here. I won't tell any BS. No offense to my initials there, but there was.
Yeah, I'll just come out and say it.
I just love the double entendre there.
So there was a few supporters, like a row or two behind me. That was Geelong, obviously. Saying that how we were so entitled to free kicks and stuff like that. When
We are. We
clearly-
deserve them.
No,
Give
no,
us
no.
the freeze.
The funny thing was, they got away with about 3 or 4 different goals from holding the ball decisions that were not counted.
yeah.
They were not paid.
Well,
I hate to sound salty, but this is the
The
part
salty
of the
Bulldog, yeah, this is
podcast
part of the
here.
podcast. It's
Salty
quintessential.
Bulldog.
I mean, without the salty, it's just
Do you?
it
Yes.
doesn't exist.
I'm going to
key
sound like a
question-
salty beep beep, but well, I can't swear on here.
The
So,
key
yeah.
question is, after this episode, do we have enough to open up a fish and chip shop?
Yes,
I wanna ask.
yes, we do. There's
Do
a
we?
place around the corner from my house that can be open as a fish and chip shop.
Fantastic.
There we
Well,
go.
I'll tell you what, with all those
They can
short,
be replaced. Holy mollies!
I mean,
the
with-
hole in my heart for that.
I mean, with all the short kicks we do across the back line, we've definitely got enough for the chip department.
And there were a few decisions that were a bit fishy on Saturday night as well. I just said that without even thinking.
All right, well,
Yeah, right.
I did. I actually did not think of that until then.
Trust me, He's not the type to do that.
I'm not
He's
a pun
the type to
person
do that.
until...
You are. You're a sad man.
He's Mr. Pun Man. But
That was
in all
very
seriousness,
good.
there were a
The
few...
pun was beautiful.
So there were a few kick-ins that Geelong were lucky to get a few,
Yeah.
that were paid to be... Oh, let me start again. So there's a few kick-ins that Geelong had that probably shouldn't have been 15, but they got paid.
And there was that
So
Tui
most
one.
of the
Oh,
time
there
it
was one that was like
Stewart.
7 metres.
There'll
Oh,
be
my
Stewart to Tui or Tui to Stewart's,
Well, I
They
think
were-
Nick's
Nick,
not
stop
happy.
punching the wall.
That's soundproof, Nick.
This is probably the
Not-
most out-of-control podcast we've had so far.
Yeah,
God. So it's
It's,
really
but,
the inner truths are showing.
It's soundproof, not punch-proof. So just
But, yeah, there were a few non-decisions. And do you want me to bring up the subject? It's probably being kicked to death already, but about the umpires.
This is we're throwing around a lot of complaints.
We are.
So you reckon we have time? I don't think we do.
I reckon we need.
Save for another day.
I reckon we should. Oh, there will be another day. Trust me.
Oh,
I reckon we
yes.
need when it's a bit closer.
I will say this for us.
Yep.
We did not lose because of that.
No.
It just infuriated us, but we did not lose because
it
of that. We
pissed me
were
off.
good. We
It
were
pissed
good.
me off. Simple.
We were good. They were better.
I mean,
I'll give them
that's-
that.
They were better.
I'll give
The
them
Cats
that.
were better.
I'm
They were
just
good team.
saying, there
Yeah.
was a few things that they got away with, which kind of
Which
annoyed me.
they genuinely wouldn't get away with at a
At-
neutral ground.
at the
like
MCG.
So,
or
remember the one statistic that determines whether it's fair or not is the count itself, and it was 24 to 22 in favour of Geelong.
We got robbed.
So it was a very well umpired game.
Supposedly.
Yeah.
With
you,
the,
you and I know all about. We don't look
Yeah,
at.
yeah.
We're pretty analytical.
Yeah.
At decisions, mate.
Yeah.
We call it
It's-
blunt.
yeah.
You and I call it very blunt.
With the 7-goal loss, so there were 4, as you were saying, it was the last part of the second quarter
In the
kicked-
last 10, 15
where they
minutes of the
kicked-
last quarter.
Yeah, so they kicked 3 goals in the last 5
I
minutes.
threw my
in the
laptop
in the
then.
second term,
Yes.
and then they kicked 4 goals in the last 10 minutes of the last term,
Yeah.
and we lost by. And that's 3 plus 4 is 7. There's your 7 goals.
Which patch
So apart from
infuriated
that-
you more? Which one infuriated you
Probably
more?
the second quarter.
No,
Yep.
it's a,
Because
I,
I
we
agree,
were
second term.
right there
I
in the
agree.
second quarter.
I-
We scratched and clawed, no
Yeah.
pun intended to cats. But
Shrieking.
yes,
Like a banshee.
we were right there. We were back to 5 points, and then all of a sudden they get a couple of clearances, couple of easy goals here, there.
no,
and then-
I still
yeah.
say that I was more disappointed with how we finished the match.
Yeah, but no, man. My stream cut out, so I had no idea what happened other than
Yeah, I
bang,
just
bang,
think I
bang.
just that
It
says to
sounded
me
like we were
that
just
says to me that you've stopped.
exhausted. I think we were
That you've
exhausted.
stopped, and that disappoints me, because you play out a game to the end. And look, what happened against Hawthorn this year is very recent proof that if you stick at it, anything can happen.
That's true.
I mean, we could have very easily just I said, what's it, 5 goals, 10 minutes to go. Like, we're probably not going to win this one, but they kept at it. They got a goal, they got another one, and it builds momentum. And I was just disappointed with how it.
I do want to ask you this though. The boys did try. They didn't just.
Oh,
stop.
no, but
Okay, because
no,
you're not
they
going
were-
to say like. 'Cause I saw a comment somewhere online that mentioned like, quotation marks from Marcus Montepelli. All right, nice goal, Mitch. All right, boys, let's set up base camp. 9 points is good enough.
Yeah. No,
You know?
yeah.
No, they're not going to.
No, they're not going to stop there.
No,
I
they
get that.
they.
At the end of the
up
day,
the
they
ante.
ran off.
They upped the
ran
ante.
us
I'm
off
just
our feet.
disappointed with how it finished because we deserved
A bit better
than
respect
a
than
44
that, yeah.
point margin. They were 3 goals ahead of us for most of the match. Look, if we
Yeah.
had lost by that much, I would have said that was a fair reflection because they were probably the better side, but we kept hanging in there. We weren't going away. We kept at it.
No, I've seen other teams throw the towel in the first quarter against them.
Yeah. And I think they averaged 57 points against down there
Yes,
this
I
year.
did read that during the week going
And,
into it,
what
and
do
then we scored 89.
Yeah. So in terms of scoring,
That's probably on par with
very
us
impressive.
this season anyway. That's
we've
probably
been averaging about that score the past
A few
3
weeks, yeah.
yeah.
I think we're sitting at
So,
76.
99,
Is
92,
it?
I
and
think it's 76 due to,
so
it's roughly
due to
99,
the basket case in the mid part of the.
99,
Yeah,
92,
screw
and
you,
89
Colin.
in the last 3 weeks. Our finest scores. Just want to look at some of the best plays. We spoke about Wallace with his 2 goals. He was probably best on ground.
in my opinion. I don't know if you guys
For
share the,
our behalf, yes.
Yeah, I thought
Okay.
Hunter actually had a very good first
Lockie
half.
I
did
thought he
play
was
very well.
He was a bit quiet afterwards.
Yeah.
Bonham-Pelly stood up in the third term. I
Mate,
thought.
those
And he
two
kicked
goals
those
were
2
bloody
goals.
brilliant.
Well, that's what you need. I mean, you need those when you were sort of struggling a bit. You just need those goals to sort of
Moments of
keep you
brilliance.
just
touching.
shift
Yeah.
that momentum back your way. I like it.
Trengo was good in the ruck.
He was
Trengo was very good in the ruck.
very good.
And that opens up a can of worms as to whether English comes back in.
I don't think he will be. I think there's something a bit more serious going on.
You
Well,
reckon?
from what I've been reading as well, I'd probably give him.
Listen to
another
the
week off.
coach's message, everyone. I think it is to the members. I don't have a membership, but I'm just what I've.
Oh, the emails.
Heard?
The emails.
Okay.
Yeah. Look at your emails, people.
Yep, check your emails. But the one, and I know Nick wants to talk about this. I think he wants to talk a lot about this one, to be honest. It is the 28 disposal effort from the great man, Bailey Smith.
Big, bad, bustling Bazza and some other words that I've left out.
Baslenka.
Baslinka, yes,
Now,
Baslinka.
the man, the great man, won the Rising Star nomination this week.
His mullet won the Rising Star.
Because of the mullet. So Bailey Smith's
The
mullet
power of the mullets.
was nominated for a Rising Star nomination this week. Definitely deserving. He's had a couple of games where he could have come close. He's got it. Nick, wax lyrical on this fella.
Very, very. I've got to replace the hole in my heart now. But no, I'm very pleased with how he's come along for the past 9 weeks. He's retained his spot each and every week, and you and I have thought, we'll see what happens. You know,
He
you and I
struggled-
thought, is he a best 22 back then?
At the start of the year?
No, but he had the traits that put him ahead of some others, and
Yeah.
that's why he's had a crack. And I said I mentioned to you last week, or both of you, on the train back, you know, and that he's deemed to have been one of the smartest players we've recruited this century.
I think the quote you said on the train was he's the best.
I didn't say the best. I said
You
second
said the
best
best-
after McRae.
the best recruit we've had in the past 20 years.
I said, that's my recruit.
Exactly
That's
what
my
he said coming
recruit.
home from Ballarat.
That's
that
what I
night.
said. But what was said is second smartest mid after McRae.
Well-
Or second smartest player. Sorry.
Was it 19 hand passes? So he didn't kick it a lot, but you're right, he got a lot of the ball. And he used it well.
I
I just
think
thought he was always sort of in the right spot. He had 5 clearances as well.
I think the most impressive part of his game was that in that third term, for patches of that third quarter, that he looked like one of the main centerpieces of the game that was unfolding, and that he belonged with such esteemed company, you know.
Yeah.
In that third quarter, we made that charge. He was
He
in
was in the
almost
middle,
every
yeah.
single one of those centre bounces. And he had a hand in. He had a good hand in them. And
Well, he had a hand in that Bontempelli goal.
it wasn't the
He got
best handball,
no,
but
he
what
got the goal
impressed
assist.
me is that the burst outside of that contest, which is
Yeah.
what we don't have.
Got the inside pace.
We haven't had that for a while.
No.
And
Does he remind you a bit of a Griffin? Sort of
Yes,
the
I was gonna
inside mid
say-
with a bit of pace?
yes, he's a more contested version of Griff.
Because Griffin was very
A bigger
outside
body,
early on, but
yeah.
he became more of an
Yes.
inside mid as he
He
developed.
seems like a more, again, there's this word, a more bustling version of Cooney.
A bit more physical, do you think? Cooney was a great player, but he was never a physical. He wasn't like a Judd midfielder.
No,
First
he's
grade
a
midfielder.
great players of both of them, though, you know.
Oh yeah,
Football teams, I
but they're
loved
very
watching them play.
different players in the way they clear out of a pack. Cooney was that quick, no one could get a hand on him.
No,
Whereas
he was
Judd
silk.
Judd preferred to charge, so he's kind of like Jonathan Brown in the midfield.
Yeah.
We're going a bit of a flashback now. I'm talking about 2000s players.
Do you think he can follow on namesake with Cooney to play in the ruck for it, like he did against Dean Cox? Bailey Smith, this is.
Well, with Luke Beveridge as coach, I wouldn't rule anything out.
This goes back to the tactics.
Caleb Daniel for the ruck.
Calvin Daniel and Ben Brown this week. Oh god,
Yeah, so we actually should have a look.
really,
at
really
that. So-
pleased. First of all, the game. I thought we were good.
Yep.
Should have been better. Happens. We're still on the hunt for something.
Now I was going to ask you that.
We're still on the hunt.
You said, what was it? 8 wins was your target, Nick?
I said no. I've said
That was
maybe
your-
to you.
that- no,
bare
no.
minimum. Bare minimum.
And then me and Matt were agreeing probably 10
Yeah.
to 11 wins.
To
would
another
be
friend,
what
I've
we're looking
said.
for.
To another friend, I've said. Oh, 12.
All right, so you're being
said
optimistic
to-
now. I like it.
I've said we're either a.
You
she
said
was
to
a
us at
great
the start
unknown.
of the
Yeah,
season.
we're a great unknown.
Exactly.
I have-
You said we could be very good or you can be very average.
And at the moment, we're in between of that, but
In
we're
the middle.
looking better. Yeah, it's
Looking better
more
than
on the
looking
good
worse,
side.
yes.
So I think of the teams that are currently not in the top 8. So that's Freo, Essendon, Hawthorn, ourselves, St Kilda, Sydney, Melbourne, Gold Coast, North, Carlton, in that later order. I say to those teams, we're the best shot of making the finals from here on out.
It's not just making finals like
There's a
some
lot
other
of
teams
people who are going
want
to say
do.
Essendon, but we're not going to listen to those people because
No.
Those people are wrong.
yes, they are. Simple as that. Especially with Smith going out for it. See you later, bye.
It's not just
That's a big
making
out,
finals.
actually.
They made the right decision on that, though.
Yeah.
They made the right call.
yeah.
it's not just about making finals. Out of those teams that are there, who has the scope to make an impact?
Well,
And we
Fremantle.
They could trouble them. They could trouble teams,
can.
but they don't look likely
well,
to
look
do
at look
so.
at the teams
They
that
have
we
the
look at
personnel
the
to do
teams
that.
in the 8 that we've played. We pushed Geelong for I reckon about 3/4. all
Go. If the game's under 20, I'd probably say 100
2.5.
minutes.
Okay, yeah, 100 minutes.
Out of 120, yeah.
Push Collingwood all the way.
All the way.
Bloody
Yeah.
oath
all
we
the
did.
way. Haven't played the Giants yet. Brisbane top 4, we beat them. Richmond 5th, we beat them. West
Smashed
Coast,
them, actually.
yeah, West Coast we've got
Playing
in a
2
couple
weeks.
of weeks.
We got
In
next
Perth.
week.
Which I'm keen
next
for.
So
weekend.
that's
Fly
gonna,
over to Perth, everyone.
that's going to be a big game. That one, Dogs
That's-
Perth in
that-
West Coast in Perth.
That will officially, providing, so this week I think we'll get the points still, but that game makes or breaks what we can set ourselves up for.
Yeah, if we win that match, then you've got to be thinking, right, well, this team's got to be playing finals this year. And then you've
And
got
can make an impact.
Adelaide and Port, and we haven't played either of those teams yet. So of those teams,
Charlie
of
Dixon
all
will
the-
be back, of course.
Of all
for
the
that
teams
game.
we've played in the 8, we've put up a good show against all of them, and we've beaten 2 of them. So what? We've played 4 of them, we've beaten 2 of them.
Could have beaten another.
Could have beaten another, and for 100 of 120 minutes, we were right up there against Geelong.
Other than the Pies, we're giving the Cats the best shake this year. And I know the Giants got the points on them, but that was a great game.
Yeah.
So
So no,
this is in terms of
think,
losses.
So in terms of impact, it's not like we can just beat the 10 teams below us and sneak 8th.
which is
If
what
we
some other
play-
teams tend
If
to
we
do.
play a final,
Hello, Melbourne.
depending on who and where it is, you wouldn't count us out
No.
of sneaking a win.
No, our style is the exact same thing at any grounds. We don't bat eyelids. We just go for it.
Yeah.
I did find it a bit interesting that Chris Scott in his press conference did mention everyone knows how the Dogs play. What did you think about that?
Did he say that?
Everyone knows how the Dogs
There's a
play.
reason why Chris Scott hasn't won a premiership since he had a bloody good list given to him in 2011.
He,
So
was,
he's-
he was gifted a dream.
Everyone
and
says that, but he's still got to be good enough.
He's
to
still got to
coach
be
it.
good enough to win it, but gee, he's the Ash Hansen of the AFL.
For the VFL, yes.
Yeah, he got gifted an absolute dream list. So
well, minus Ablett because he was
minus
gone,
Ablett, but
yeah.
still, that team was incredible.
Yes, I'm
Um,
sure they struggled with only having a collective 40 All-Australians and
Yeah.
35 Premiership players.
So
and-
did he actually say that? Did he?
I
Everyone knows
believe-
how the Dogs play
So not
Yeah, I don't think it was
giving
done.
credits
I don't think it
due.
was done in that.
in a negative
No,
sense.
not at all. But I think
So
It's
what
probably a fair
was the
comment.
rest of his comment
I
then?
couldn't tell you, but I do think it's on that basis. I think it's a fair comment because we are quite predictable with what we try to do.
Yeah, when we get it inside the 50, we keep hand passing it until we turn it over, which is
And
something
Nick has
we've been
officially
doing for
ran off
years.
again.
That's made me laugh, though.
Nick's off. I just got to sort himself out.
Yep.
Good stuff, Nick.
All right, it's back to us.
Yeah, it's back to you, Brad. So the danger game this week is actually, I think it's a danger game because we've seen what happens the last time we've played a team down the bottom, North
Yeah.
Melbourne.
Stuff you, Carlton. But anyway.
Yeah. I have a feeling that those 2 games, they're going to cost us.
They will cost us, but depending what we're looking at here, remember,
What are we looking
long
at
goals.
You know what, I feel all right about going into the game this week. I feel all right.
I'm quite happy, and I won't be there, unfortunately. But
Okay,
I'm
so
It's
if-
the long North game.
I
How
know,
do you miss
I
it?
know.
So
But-
if let's
Oh,
say all right,
commitments.
so let's say we win. We win this week. We should win this week. If we play like we have over the last month, we will win this week.
Yes,
Suddenly, we're looking at a record of 5-5. You guys have taken that at the start of the year.
yes, depending on certain wins and losses.
To be honest, that's probably on par with where I thought it would be.
I'm much prefer.
Should be
Long
7
as
That
we
could
get
be
there.
7
Long
and
as we
3.
get
7
there.
and 3.
As long as we
Yes,
get there, yeah.
As long as we get to 5-5, I'll take the 5-5 of what could happen than the 5-5 of what we thought would have happened.
Yeah.
Much prefer that. I said it to my father several times. I'll take beating a top 4 team and losing to a bottom 2 side than the other way around.
Yeah, because you probably would have said the 5-5 at the start of the year would have included beating Carlton and Gold Coast. And if
Losses against Richmond, probably.
losses against Richmond.
Which were good against them.
Loss.
Probably would have...
and a loss
would have
against
almost-
the Hawks, to me.
Yeah, and I probably would have almost... in fact, going into the match, I sort of fancied Brisbane were going to be
I did
the better
hate that as a
team.
danger game as well.
That was definitely a danger game, so I was glad to get the win with that one. Nick's...
Nick
I was
is
quite
going
happy.
channeling Bruce Lee right now.
Or Drew Petrie or whatever the heck.
He's just throwing fists to anything that he can find. Anyway,
So yeah, so we're happy with So with North this week, what changes can we expect? Can we expect any? I don't think we came away with any injuries, which is a miracle.
I
in itself.
believe Suckling.
Suckling
we'll
not
see.
right. He was
believe.
off the ground for a bit. He was getting his calf worked on, I think, at one stage in the match.
to be honest, I didn't notice that since I was at the game.
Yeah, they're difficult to
Yeah.
pick
I
up
do
at the
think
footy,
he
but
is-
yeah, he was.
Will be a forced change, but
So who comes in then? Because there's a few players who...
are you able to
Lipinski.
please? Yes. Are you
Done.
able to get
There
the
you go.
22, please? Are you able to find our 22 from the Cats game?
The 22 from the Cats game?
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Can you name him?
I've got that up here.
I know, but just still. Let's so okay. So
All right, so let's
go through the names quickly.
of
very-
who I think should be in danger of going.
Let's go Danger. Let's go
Okay,
Danger.
Lockie Young,
Who has been all right?
he's been okay. Ed Richards has sort of come back down to earth. He was good the last couple of weeks. He was quiet on the
I'm
weekend and
still
missed an
keeping him.
important shot.
I'm still keeping him.
I know you're big on him, but Billy Gowers has struggled at times and
Yes,
was
he
very
has.
disappointing on the weekend.
Yes, he was.
Fletcher Roberts looked scary every time he got near the ball. You had your heart in your mouth.
You can't
As
do
serviceable as he was, and he was up against Tom Hawkins. I mean, he didn't have.
much of that.
he didn't have a
He's
lot of
never been that tight, man.
help.
He's never
The other
been
one I
tight.
think is Will Hayes. Rushed his decision making a bit. Looked like it was a bit too fast paced for him at times.
It was the second Bont goal, the play up from that, which I've forgotten who dished off the ball to Bailey Smith. Of course, I remember him though, but he ended up given to Will Hayes, and the end result was a goal. But it was just the fact that Hayes just slammed it onto the boot between one dog and three cats, despite two other dogs,
Well,
maybe
I
10
mean, he's
metres
kicking it to
for a hand
Norton.
pass. Yes, but... And then obviously the ball goes to ground and we dish it off and Bont
Kicks the goal.
kicks the
Takes
goal.
the long shot, the hot
takes...
shot.
Yes, but the play before that I was screaming at the laptop thinking, you idiot!
Yeah.
And he has been good, to be honest. I have liked
He's
what
been,
Hayes
he's
has
been
done.
serviceable.
Yes.
He's not been terrible.
No.
But he just
No.
he seems to lack that.
He's a
Next
great
step,
running.
sort
He's a
of.
great runner. You know, you can see he complements Hunter very well.
Oh, well,
and
he's-
Beveridge
yeah.
has mentioned that.
And his VFL numbers last year were very good.
The
I mean,
team of the year.
Yeah,
and
if he was on our list
BNF, I
last
think.
year, he would have got games last year.
Oh,
Just
yeah,
on
100%.
form.
There were some things, yeah,
Um,
definitely. He would have, and deservedly would have got games
Yeah.
last year, ahead of some others.
And we've spoken about him deserving to get his opportunity, but you just think it's time for a stint back in the
Yeah.
VFL?
I did say to you earlier this year, I'm happy we have him, but to me, he's depth.
Now,
And there's
Brad, you
nothing
said-
wrong with that.
And you said Lipinski comes in.
Oh, everybody's saying it. I've been
Mm.
watching his form in
I-
the VFL as well, and you can't deny he's
Yeah.
been asking for a call up for
He's
quite a
been
while
he's
now.
been winning so much of
I-
the footy.
Agree?
He's got to be given a go, Nick. Sure.
No, I agree. I just think that the way that we're playing him and what he does, if we're the only spots that are there for him, he's not taking any midfield time away from anyone. And the
No,
only
it's
spots
true.
the only spots he takes are from Hunter and
Hayes.
Hayes, but Hayes we can work it out with another player.
Well, would you
Someone
just
that
would, it
could
just,
get
would you
midfield
just have
minutes back.
Lipinski play Hayes' role?
He's too slow for it.
Lipinski.
He's too slow for it.
He doesn't look like a slow player. Lipinski.
So my mentality here is, McLean goes back to the wing, and the coach's talk is that we might be seeing a triple Bailey this week,
now you got
You
very
reckon Bailey
excited
Williams
about
come
this.
back in.
and Dale
And Bailey
And
Dale
Billy.
too.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Smith. The
Oh,
triple Bailey shots for days, everyone.
Oh boy, it's just
Bro,
like
we-
St Kilda and their Jacks.
We're gonna have to
Exactly.
Jumping
Yeah.
jacks.
Oh
We're,
God's
we're
sake!
gonna have to strap Nick to the chair. He's about to. He's
The
about to
Baileys.
go
He's
down.
gonna
Look
bloody
at
go
him.
nuts.
He looks like he's got the straight jacket on at the moment.
Yeah, I was going to say, somebody get this man a straight jacket.
Triple Baileys, triple Baileys, triple Baileys.
It sounds like Bart Simpson can't sleep. Clown will eat me.
Yep. So there
what
was-
it is.
So with Bailey Dale, 3 goals and 21 disposals. He's always looked like the sort of player that can play, but has never had the numbers to back it up.
No.
He looks like he's a natural sort of footballer, but yeah, he's never had the numbers to back it up. But he was good on the weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He's got a
12
bit-
kicks, 6 marks, 9 hand passes, 2 tackles only, but it doesn't matter. He's not a tackling type. Here's the concern. 0 hitouts.
That is disappointing. Ling Jong coming back from...
How
John-
John you go? I
yeah,
didn't actually
just
watch the
9
game on Saturday.
disposals.
11 touches, yep.
Oh,
1 behind,
yep.
4 marks, 6 hand passes, and a tackle. But he's
It's
probably
all right
easing
for his
into it.
first game back.
Yeah, he's
Easing
easing
in.
back into it. What about Bailey Williams? Because you said he was...
Billy
back
Williams,
into it.
28, 18 kicks, 4 marks, 10 hand passes. I wish I had a more complete stats board, but it's unfortunate that the app doesn't show these
I've
things.
got 9 rebounds from defensive 50 as well.
That's on the website, club website, or
Yes.
beautiful, which is good. That's
Um,
exactly what we wanted.
No goals
He
for
plays a-
Dixon. I've
No.
got here. What about...
So that's for me is Williams for Young.
Yep, so Williams for
As I said,
Young.
I've liked Young.
And
And he's very raw. Dale
Hayes.
for Hayes, McLean to the wing.
Yep. And then what
And
about...
We've been happy with how our blokes have gone. But
What have you got for Shaki? What numbers did you have for Shaki?
give me a second.
Because with Tom Boyd now retiring, a lot of pressure falls on Shaki to come good.
18 disposals, 1 goal, 2, 12 kicks, 8 marks, 6 hand passes, no
That's a
tackles.
fair
How many
performance.
hitouts?
No.
Are you playing the rock?
No,
he
the
kicks,
only
if he
ruckman-
kicks straight, that's a fair day.
The only ruckman for they got a hit
Jordan
out
Sweet.
was
Oh,
Lewis Young with 8,
Louis, yeah.
not Lewis. Lewis, yes,
Yeah,
sorry,
yes,
Lewis,
Louis.
and 33 for Sweet. He had 11 times the disposal count.
So Sweet would have just come back this week from suspension,
Sweet did.
right?
Yeah,
So,
Sweet's
okay.
back.
a
Yeah.
solid, 11 times. I was right. Yeah. So for every hit, every possession
Every
he had,
disposal he got 3 hitouts.
he had 11 hitouts.
He had 11 hitouts. So he only had 3 disposals.
Correct, including a tackle.
Interesting. Very interesting there.
That's okay.
Nick the
He's
stat
raw.
person right
He's
there.
raw. So
Yes, he is. Well, you don't often expect that with Sweets.
Oh, what was I going to
No,
say?
God.
I had somebody in
No.
mind who I was going to
No,
name.
no more puns.
Oh, yes. What do you guys think about Brad Lynch?
He was quiet. He's actually been quiet. I'm disappointed he wasn't given a go at the start of the year. I had him in my best 22, or at least right on the edge of it. I really rate him, but he's been a bit quiet. He kicked the point against the Hawks at the MCG
Yes,
to
he did, to
level
tie it
the
up.
score. And I was sitting thinking, what is it with him kicking
Kicked the
points
point
at the
that- Yeah, he
MCG?
kicked the point that cost, that
The
cost
Richmond
the Tigers
game last
the flag.
year.
What is it with him kicking points at critical stages? Come on, Bradley, sort yourself out.
Well, he's got the
All
next
right,
one.
all right.
One
That's
was
our-
to...
One to win the
striking
match,
distance. The other
the
was to
win
tie.
the
The next
match.
one's the win, for sure. You know?
Well, yeah, he's gonna kick a point. No, with scores are going to be level. He's going to have the shot. He's going to hit the behind post.
He hasn't got near that yet. No, I think he's all right, but he's just...
All right,
it seems that he really relies on the ball being feeded to him.
So we've got it here. Young,
For Williams.
Hayes, for Dale,
Dale.
and then Suckling.
Yes. I don't think English will return this week again.
Then who
Which
comes
to
in?
me means...
We've got. Oh, hang on. We've got a couple of back flankers who we could bring in Lynch, or we could bring
They have
in.
no, we've mentioned with... According to Bevo, he says that we've got probably too many defensive-minded players.
So somebody's just a true mid to come in, you reckon?
But when you say defensive minded,
Which means we're looking for attacking nous. Hello, Dale.
but when you say defensive minded,
Hello,
do you
Williams, they're
mean
attacking
defenders
mindset.
specifically, or do you
I
mean
think it
players
is
with an
speci-
attacking
I
mindset?
think it is specific defence.
Because I wouldn't say Suckling is a defensive minded player.
No. I don't mean mindset, but I mean just the role.
Yeah.
But he goes up high, so...
Because we've got Van der Meer.
He's a while away, but Christ, he's
Oh,
nice.
he's got something about him. And not just that.
Van der Meer.
Van der Meer.
It's a great name.
Actually, speaking of injuries in the VFL, some really good news. A couple of bits of good news, actually. Dale Morris planning to return to full training post-bye because he is Iron Man and Dale Morris does what he wants.
Fergie time?
Yes, Fergus Green
Ferg's
coming
just
back
come
during
back
the
in.
VFL this week,
Yep.
and that will be good. Be good to have him in full fitness because as soon as he's fit and firing, give him a couple of
That's
games in the VFL, I bring him into the seniors.
That's a Gower's chance. Gower's, I think he still has... I know people say all about the lasted numbers. He really is doing a role because he is allowing Norton the chance to leap with his blocks and stuff. And I've said, I think I said it's my risky call that he'll kick 4 whatever, so Norton will get 2.
I think you said he kicked 3 last week.
Maybe. He got 1 and hit the post. And it looked like a nice kick off the boot. So, such.
Yeah, so he's under a bit of pressure, but you reckon he keeps his spot?
I
I reckon he
still think
keeps his
so.
spot too because
I still think so, yeah.
he's not got a lot of chances, but he
Yeah.
seems to be making. He seems to be getting a goal out of them.
To me, he goes when Shaki commands a spot, and then if Gowers is still good enough to add more to the table than another midfield option, then he stays.
Okay.
It just depends who's willing to take it. It's up to you, Shaki.
Do you guys
Well, a lot of
actually want to
pressure
bring
on
up
you
your team this week that you want
How
to
long
bring
do we
up?
Yes,
have?
we've got we've got time, and we're going to do this. So this is a
How long are we going?
well, we're about 50 minutes. I
Okay,
think,
we've got a
yeah.
little bit, not much
Yeah.
longer, but
So this is what we're going to do. Now this is quite exciting. I do like this. We're going to
Do as a
and
draft.
we've been talking about this since the start of the. Oh, hang on, Brad's got something.
It's not Bulldogs related, but this breaking news just come through. Heath Grundy has announced his retirement effective immediately for Sydney.
Very good in that grand final.
Yes.
Actually, he was probably Sydney's best player that day. Alongside Josh Kennedy.
One of the great undersized key defenders, I think. He's just an exceptional footballer. Brilliant in there in 2012 also. And probably one of the very few that I think that could have held his head up high in the 2014 disaster.
No, he's been very
Yeah,
serviceable
great
player
player,
for
great
very long,
defender.
for a very long time.
Any
Um,
reasoning for?
No, I haven't seen.
That's
anything
right.
that's
Hit
more
us
news
up.
coming up.
Hit us up when you can.
So we're going to go with and this is something I pitched to Nick at the start of the year.
It's taken a while, but we've had
And
things.
he was on board with it. So we're going. So it's going to be like a team of the century team, but it's only going to be for the past 20 years. So it's a team of
that makes
fifth century,
perfect
fifth of a
sense.
century, the team of the fifth of the century, the fifth of a century, team of the past 20 years,
the noughties and the teens.
team of the millennium. So starting from 2000, the start of the millennium, through to now.
So we have another 980 years to count.
We've got a few to
81
go,
years to
but
count.
we're going to cheat a little bit and start doing it today. So what we're going to do? So we've got how we've got the team of the century where we got the best players right back from the early 1900s. Put together a list of criteria. Pop it together.
Please
and
reveal
see what we get.
criteria, thank you.
Okay, so the criteria for this one, just looking up Grundy actually, he's only played once this year, and it was that game against us. So I don't know if there's been some sort of injury.
He
or
rucked
whether
that
he's been,
game against us.
Yeah, so I don't know whether there's been some sort of injury or whether he just.
They do have an extra. It might be an injury,
He's
but
getting to
they
the
have
end.
had a vision of looking past him since
So
17.
this is the criteria for the team of the millennium.
Team of the fifth. I like the fifth of the millennium. I like
The
a team of the fifth of the century. I like
The
that.
fifth
I
of the
like
century.
that.
All right, the team of the fifth of a century. Okay, so what I've got written here: players that have represented the Western Bulldogs Football Club in a competitive fixture are automatically eligible to be selected if they have achieved at least one of the following objectives, and it has to have been fulfilled between round 1 2000 to round 23 2018.
Oh, you're not even
So there
including
goes
now.
Bailey Smith.
You're not even
unfortunately.
including this year.
No.
That's so cruel.
Well, I mean, we can't sort of count half a year.
Well,
We haven't
what
even played
about if
half a
someone?
year yet.
What about if someone wanted to include Aaron Norton at centre half forward?
You can always put him at full back.
Okay,
He
well-
played a bloody good season last year.
He did.
Even if we included this year Aaron Norton.
He's putting forward our most dominant key position season since Barry Hall.
Aaron Norton wouldn't have been eligible, even just if we include this year under any of the criteria.
Wow.
So this is the criteria.
Wow, this is. You got to give me a list of the players that are eligible
You've got to have played 50 games, and when
Wow.
I say 50 games, that's
for the club.
Yeah, that's for the club, but it's in this
Point
century.
counts. Yes.
So you can't have played
Point
49 games in the 90s and then played your 50th in 2000. You're not eligible.
Yes, it's
Oh,
when
got to
you
play-
were,
that is.
it's
that
where
is
you were
tight.
known by. It's where you were known
Yeah,
by.
well, I mean, then we're opening players like Tony Liberatore and Scott Wine, who only just sort of crept into the new century, and I don't think that's overly fair.
no, it's where you
So
make
it's
the bulk
about
of your
this
name of career.
millennium. It's
Got
about
it,
this
got it,
millennium.
got it.
And then kick the 100 goals again.
That
same.
means no Barry Hall.
How
No,
much
it does. Barry Hall is in. He's
Oh,
in.
Yeah, Baz will just
that's
kick
your
over
other.
100.
You get
Just listen to the rest of the criteria
No,
first.
I'm just thinking for games. What was it 39? 39 games.
The people want to listen to the
Yeah, it was
criteria,
110
Nick.
I just want to pick the team. Pick the team already.
Okay.
Explain the rules.
All right, so 50 games, 100 goals. Best and fairest winner. So if you want a best and fairest, you're in.
Great.
I've got this written here, and there's only one who ticks this box. Brownlow medalist. So Adam Cooney.
AAs?
All Australian. Yes, if you're an All Australian, you're in. If you were the club's leading goal kicker in any one of the seasons since 2000, you
Liam
are in.
Pickett.
There you go.
So Liam Picken, Billy Gowers.
Jake Stringer.
Jade Rawlings is eligible.
Oh wow! 2000, what was it 2003, 2004?
Four.
Uh,
30 goals, 30.
Premiership player. So up until last week, the other week, that was the only way Fletcher Roberts was eligible for this.
I
Or,
wanted to put Carly Smith in.
or
so
actually,
bad.
no. If you've played in a
Premiership
final for the
Yes.
club, if you've represented the club in a
I
final,
like that.
you are eligible.
Ah, you have to throw in the Badger some way.
Yes,
No,
that-
he's all right.
that's the list. So if you tick one of those boxes, you're automatically in this list.
Now, this is specifically relating to only AFL achievements. So
Yes.
let's say you've on the list, you've achieved certain things.
We'll discuss
but
the
have
list
you,
here.
But if you're
actually.
a very solid VFL contributor, but you are an AFL listed player, none of those things like the Frosty Miller medalist and
No,
all
this
these
is
things.
the Western Bulldogs football.
Alrighty.
So Werribee, Williamstown, Footscray contributions. No, you've
Void.
got to have done it for the Bulldogs. So I'll read out the list. We've got about 80 players or something. I'll read them out.
Okay.
I'll be brief about it.
Start from the positions,
We'll
or is this
no, we'll
just
go alphabetical order.
Very good.
All right. So Dylan Addison, eligible, played 80 odd games. He's played in a couple of finals.
Yep, finals player. That's right.
Jason Ackermanis,
Finals player, leading goal kicker.
Trent Bartlett. Shane
Fine.
played in a final. Yep.
Oh,
2000.
yeah.
Yep. Shane Biggs.
Yep.
Shane
Never
Burse.
forget.
Shane Burse final?
Yep. 50 games.
Uh-huh.
Marcus Bontempelli.
Yeah, enough said.
Patrick Bowden played 50 games for the club.
Yep.
Matthew Boyd. Tom Boyd. Nathan Brown, leading goal kicker. Tim
Twice.
Callan, finalist. Adam Cooney. Zane Cordy. Stuart Cramery. Matthew Croft. Daniel Cross. Luke Dahlhaus. Caleb Daniel. Luke Darcy. Tory Dixon. Paul Dimatina.
Dimmer.
Josh
Dimmer,
Dunkley.
please.
Dimatina final list.
Yes. I
Uh,
met him.
Jo-
at Gold
Josh
Coast.
Dunkley, Simon Garlick, Daniel Jean Syracusa, Lindsay Gilby, Chris Grant, Billy Gowers, Jared Grant,
Yay.
Good
Good words by him too
Spindles.
last week. Great words by him
Ryan
last
Griffin,
week.
Mitch Hahn, Barry Hall, Joel Hamling, Jared Harbrow, Ryan Hargrave, Ben Harrison, Sean Higgins, Josh Hill, Mitch Honeychurch,
Tom Hill, no.
Andrew Hooper, Ben Hudson, Paul Hudson, Kingsley Hunter, Lockie Hunter,
Paul Hudson.
Paul Hudson, leading goal kicker, I believe.
Yes, but I don't know if that's in the 2000s.
He may
We'll
also
look
be
at
a
it later.
finalist.
Finalist, yeah.
Kingsley Hunter, Lockie Hunter, Jason Johannesson, Brad Johnson, Liam Jones, Lin Jong, Stephen Koliniuk, Stephen Krediuk,
About 50 games for Jones.
yeah, Tom Liberatore, Tony Liberatore, played in the 2000 final, Jack McRae, Toby McLean, Jordan McMahon, Will Minson, Brett Montgomery, Dale Morris, Robert Murphy, Liam Picken, Sam Power, Farron Ray, Jack Redpath, Matthew Robbins, Fletcher Roberts, Jordan Roughhead, Clay Smith, Rowan Smith, Kobe Stevens, Peter Street, Jake Stringer, Matthew Suckling, Stephen Tiller, Mitch Wallace, Callan Ward, Scott Welsh, Scott West, Cameron White, Tom Williams, Easton Wood, and Scott Wind.
That's the longest list I've ever heard, but anyway.
That's the list of players that are eligible.
Shane Thorne.
Did not make it. No, unfortunately not.
John Henry.
Yeah, there's a bunch of players that we really wanted to get.
Jamison
but we
Daniels.
couldn't fit him in. Sorry, Nicholas. So that's
Eddie Prato.
not quite. So that's our list of eligible players. So what we're going to do over the course of the next few weeks is we're going to be putting together and discussing who makes the team.
So
We'll
we're not
see.
having our own separate teams.
No,
We're
no,
mate,
this
we're
is
in
a
agreement.
combined
This is a
team.
unanimous.
This has to be unanimous. Yep.
Which means I'll have to be here every week, possibly.
Yes, possibly. But what we'll see if we can do, we'll see if we can get some fan contributions and let them vote on players that they would like to have in the team as well. So next week, I believe, we'll start with the defenders. And again, we can't do like an All-Australian. We'll put midfielders on the forward flank.
I was going to say, you're going to put McRae on the bench again.
No, we're definitely not doing that.
What were you thinking, Matt?
The answer, I wasn't. So we're going to be doing that over the course of the next few weeks. And what it's going to be, so we're going to have 6 defenders. I think this is what we'll do. We'll have 6 defenders on field and then 1 defender on the bench.
That's what I was going to say then.
So then we'll put it out to the fans. So of the defenders that didn't make the team, we'll let them vote for the 7th defender,
Yep.
and whoever wins that gets the bench spot.
I like that idea. That's a very good idea.
Okay, thank you. So I'm glad I just thought that one up on
I'm
the
glad
spot.
you thought it out this time.
I thought it out.
I'm wondering if he's going to plan it out to have our set midfield 6 combo, and McRae just happens to slide out. Like,
Or maybe
people
just
have
being
to pick him on the bench.
Yeah.
Or maybe he might be an emergency. You don't want to do that.
Oh, we're not doing emergencies.
All
There's
right,
no
all right,
emergencies. No emergencies for this one. So that's the eligible team. The final team of 22 will be made up of solid players from that aforementioned list.
Yeah.
And we'll be revealing that over the course of the next 4
Next month
weeks.
or so.
4 weeks.
Yep.
Yeah. Remember, forget everything that's happened this season.
Yeah, that's all right. It's all good.
I think with the buy coming up, it'd be quite nice to do. But
true.
I think that's going to bring us to the end of another episode. Nick, Brad, it was a passionate episode.
Probably the most craziest episode I've
to
been
say the
on.
least.
Fire up.
yeah. But I've very much enjoyed the contributions of both of you. It's great to have you on the show always. And it's great to have all of you listening wherever you are around the world. Always a pleasure to have you tuning in for the Salty Bulldog, and we look forward to having you join us again next week.